Okay, so look, we all know that these are fast, and we also know that they're, potentially very, very fun, but now they're used, like what actually goes wrong with them? What do they like to live with and drive these days? Most importantly, but should you ever seriously consider buying one? Let's answer all of those questions and so much more. Okay, now guys, just in case you've suffered some kind of, let's say, medical episode and this whole like WRX thing is a complete mystery to you, the VA, or the 2014 to 2021 WRX, continues the WRX's all-wheel drive turbocharged, rally-inspired compact car tradition that the badge has become renowned for over 30 years. However, unlike the previous iterations, this drops the Impreza element of the name, even though it is still technically based on the Impreza platform, and it does share a whole bunch of like components and bits with the Impreza. Also, while we're talking about generations, in this video we're just going to be focusing on the VA, which I'm sure you already know is also available in like full fat STI trim. And now while the standard WRX and the STI, they do share a load of components, there are a few differences, and we feel that the STI, it really does deserve its very own video. And like a lot of the stuff we're going to be covering in this video, it will relate to the STI, but some other stuff won't. Now also, besides dropping the Impreza name, another first for this generation relates to the driveline, as a continuously variable transmission was also available to supplement the 6-speed manual. And these CVTs, they've got a pretty terrible reputation, but we'll delve into that later in the video. Now, elsewhere under the bonnet, the WRX continues the traditional turbocharged flat 4 engine layout, albeit with an all-new series. Initially, 2 trim specs have been available, although in typical Subaru fashion, a host of special editions have come and gone from the ranks, and the range received a small update in 2015 with a more substantial update following in mid-2017. But according to the experts and those in the know, even though these have been updated, these models, or this generation, it still takes a bit of a, let's say, like an old school approach to performance cars. And what I mean by that is that, look, there's a bunch of other kind of compact performance cars out there that will more than match the WRX for sheer performance, but at the same time, they can also offer like some pretty legitimate premium feels. See, to many, the Subaru is still seen as a bit of a hoon compared to many of the European alternatives like the Volkswagen Golf GTI or Golf R, Audi S3, even the Renault Megane RS, which all arguably project a more sensible and mature image. And this isn't necessarily like a bad thing for the WRX, it just depends on what you want from your car. Now, if you actually want to buy one of these, currently used examples here in Australia, they start from around about $17,000 and they're currently topping out around about 60 grand. But unless you are like a terrified grandmother or a conspiracy theorist and have tens of thousands of dollars hiding under your mattress, if you want to buy one of these, chances are you're going to have to finance it. And if this is the case, the best thing to do is head to ReDriven.com and check out the driver-powered car loan calculator on the WRX cheat sheet, or hit the driver link down there. See, guys, with Driver, they can customize a finance package that best suits your needs. The entire thing is done online. There are no hidden fees, and you can get pre-approval in just minutes. Plus, if you do all of that via ReDriven.com or that link, we're going to give you a free $150 fuel voucher, and that's going to be handy when it comes to this. And look, while we're giving away free stuff, how about some free express shipping and 15% off for some of the best wiper blades you will ever buy? Simply hit the WiperTech link down there. They're easy to order online. They're going to be shipped to your door for free, as we mentioned. They're super easy to fit, and they are genuinely some of the best wiper blades we've ever used. Okay, now while these do share a whole bunch of components with the standard Impreza, even body-wise, there are some WRX exclusive stuff. Pretty much the entire front end is WRX exclusive, and the rear quarter panels. Aesthetically, that's good because it's a pretty hot looking car. But the negative is, a lot of these panels can ask a premium, or parts can ask a premium. For example, the people that own this have just informed me that a replacement headlight for this one, a new headlight, $3,000. Used ones, even they're like $1,800. And apparently it's really hard to find, near impossible, to buy headlight protectors. That's annoying. Still a hot looking car. I do say hot looking car because I might be biased towards WRXs. I actually own a GC8 WRX. For me, that is the classic WRX shape, but this, for me at least, I feel like it's a good evolution of the WRXs. It's almost like Subaru looked at Porsche and went, okay, we see what they've done with the air-cooled 911, let's do that with the 991 and 992. This feels, for me, like a really nice evolution of that original GC8. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Okay, so sure, look, a Volkswagen Golf R, or really any of the Euro competition, is going to feel far more like premium and luxury inside than this thing. But for me, like the WRX, it's never been about offering kind of a a premium feeling interior. Okay, so look, sure, a Volkswagen Golf R, or really any of the European competition, is going to feel arguably more premium inside than one of these. But for me, these have never been about offering some kind of luxurious interior. They've always been like the performance-focused top spec of what is an affordable compact car. And for me, this still nails that brief. Actually, if anything, this feels more premium inside than say a GR Yaris, and this is going to cost you way less than one of those. And I also like the fact that the WRX, it does its own thing with its interior. Look, yeah, the European ones are pretty luxurious, but they also risk being a bit boring and soulless at times. Oh, also, I should mention that Subaru, they updated the materials on the 2017 update, this being a 2018 model car. The materials are quite nice. Also, it's the WRX Premium, so it's got the leather interior, and everything is nice. Like, okay, there's hard scratchy plastics here and there, but like this carbon fiber trim looks quite nice. Like leather's nice enough. Wear and tear, like this car's got nearly 80,000 Ks on it. It's used on a daily basis. And like there's still plenty of texture on the steering wheel. The leather still feels relatively supple. It's getting a little firm in places, but that's easy to restore. But like wear and tear, really good. Now, seating position wise and comfort ergonomic stuff, yeah, it's good. I do wish these seats were a bit more like the old school WRX seats where they're like really, really supportive. Obviously, these are now targeted at a much larger market, so they're maybe a little bit more comfortable than total performance focused seats. And I suppose if you want that, just go and buy an STI instead. But ergonomics wise, seating position, fantastic, and heaps of adjustability. Now, as far as practicality goes, you've got a spot perfectly sized for your phone right there. You've got a couple of cup holders, you've got spots for your stamp collection on either side, 2 lots of stamps there. You've got a little cubby hole here with a 12-volt power outlet, decent sized glove box there, good sized door bins, and a spot for like fingernails and boogers. Now in the back seat, I'm exactly the same height as another recent Subaru legend, Mr. Travis Pastrana. This is in my driving position, and it's okay. I mean, the knees are only just touching the back of the seat. There's an okay amount of foot room. The weird thing is, but like, I don't think anyone's ever sat back here because these seats feel brand new, but I feel like to be comfortable, they need about another 1,000 sits because it's a bit too firm. Like the foam's a bit too firm, so it's not that comfy. But yeah, it's okay. It's what you'd expect in a car like this. Wear and tear, as I just alluded to, I don't think anyone's ever sat back here. It's basically a new car. Obviously, in saying that, you know, every WRX is going to be different for wear and tear, but this one, mint. And finally, in the back seat, practicality, you've got a couple of mat pockets, you've got a pull down armrest with a couple of cup holders there, it's hard to say. Door bins that are near impossible to get to if you've got legs, and another spot for, let's say, I'm gonna go with eyelashes and like little sleep from your eye. And finally, practicality in the boot. You know, I thought this would be a really small boot, but it's actually deceptively deep in here. Still would be nice if they released these in like a hatch or a wagon form. You know what would be cool? If they took the SV Crosstrek and put this running gear under that. Do that, Subaru. Now, good news and bad news here, guys. As you can see, Subaru threw a whole bunch of stuff at these, and even better news, if you go to a premium like this, you get, you know, the leather interior, Harman Kardon stereo, a few other things. And even with the update, they threw even more stuff at it. And also, no matter what example you're looking at, you can connect your phone via Bluetooth. However, as far as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto goes, that's going to vary depending on the example that you're looking at. See, many of the standard infotainment systems, they can facilitate CarPlay and Android Auto, but if it's been unlocked or programmed into it, that might be a different story. But in saying that, according to many owners that actually use the native Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, apparently it can be an absolute nightmare to use. Apparently, like, functionality is a bit of a pain in the ass. But as far as using the tech in this particular car, absolute breeze. My Bluetooth connected straight away. This has been really easy to use. Actually using all the functionality, great. Now look, obviously there is so much more to the tech and features, and if you do need more specific information, go to redriven.com and check out that cheat sheet that we mentioned earlier. It'll answer all of your questions. And now, according to this thing called physics and Subaru's marketing team, thanks to this car's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, these things are basically glued to the road all of the time. But the thing is, physics will always beat marketing. So what happens when the grip runs out? How safe are these? So to take you through the safety features that you can expect to keep you as safe and healthy as possible, we're going to cut to another voiceover, but this time we're going to do this in kind of a Travis Pastrana rallycross announcement kind of style.
So what you're going to find, guys, is that right from the start, the WRX will have 7 airbags, electronic brake force distribution, brake assist, Subaru's vehicle dynamics control, and traction control. But then, from mid-2015, the Premium also received Subaru's Vision Assist tech, which included blind spot detection, lane change assist, rear cross traffic alert, high beam assist, and so much more. Then, from the 2017 update, not only did the standard WRX get Vision Assist, but some models were fitted with Subaru's EyeSight Driver Assist. This basically adds a whole bunch of autonomous tech like adaptive cruise control and pre-collision warnings and so much more. But for all of the details, just head to the cheat sheet on ReDriven.com.
Now, if you go and search WRX on YouTube, you're just going to be presented with endless videos of people talking about what these are like to drive really, really fast on the limit. But let's be honest here, guys, unless you're buying one of these as like your track hack, 90% of the time you're going to be driving in the real world at realistic speeds. Why does no one talk about that? So instead of just repeating what you already know, yes, these are fast, yes, these can pretty much annihilate most cars on a twisty road, let's talk about what they're like here in the real world. Now, firstly, plenty of people complain about the ride being really, really harsh. Guys, it is a budget-conscious performance car with rally deep in its DNA. I kind of feel like it should be a little bit on the firm side. Okay, the firm side, it doesn't feel like sophisticated firm, like maybe like a Porsche, but again, it's a budget-conscious car. But in saying that, like it's never like crashy or harsh at all. If anything, I feel like the 80,000 Ks this one has done has actually softened up the suspension a little bit. It's not too bad. Firm, but totally livable. But in saying that, because it rides so firm, it still feels kind of old school WRX when it goes into handling. Like even at totally legal speeds, going through a set of corners, like this is a suburb, I'm hardly going to be driving fast, but even at like it doesn't pitch and roll at all. It's actually fun. It's fun at like 40k an hour. Now you might also read or see reports that these are a real challenge to drive smoothly, especially when pulling away. And yeah, I've got to sort of agree with that. This clutch, to give you an idea what it feels like, imagine going to the gym and putting like 4 or 5 toddlers on a leg press machine. This clutch is heavy. Luckily, I'm incredibly strong. Actually, just on the clutch, if you are test driving one, make sure you listen or feel for any kind of clutch shudder or any driveline noises at all. If there's shuddering or noises, vibrations, stuff like that, that needs to be checked out. And when it comes to noises, a lot of people complain about excessive road noise in this, as you can hear. Yeah, but they're performance tyres. Again, it's a budget-conscious performance car, sort of based on a rally car. You got to expect that. But rattles and squeaks, none. Again, there are complaints that these things can get pretty rattly with age and brittle plastic, but this particular model, no. Or this particular example, no. No rattles, no squeaks, no weird noises. Now look, we all love a performance car with a manual transmission, but we've got to talk about the shift feel in this. I feel like, warning here, this might get into like wanker car journalist speak for a second. It feels, I don't know if it's like overly assisted, but just feels like there's been an attempt at kind of a short shift feel, but they haven't quite nailed it. It just feels a little bit on the rubbery side. I have driven these with aftermarket short shifters or even the bushes being replaced with higher quality items, and that solves the problem. But standard, it's not bad, it's just, you know, they should maybe go and drive a Hyundai i30N or a Porsche. Now, engine-wise, look, there is a bit of turbo lag. Personally, I love that. I feel like it plays almost a homage to old school WRXs with their turbo lag, and it's kind of fun to play with the I suppose the boost curve, if you will. But when it is on boost, like, it's like the whole personality of the car changes and just comes alive. It's so enjoyable when you're actually having a go. But don't think you need to wring its neck. Like coming out of a roundabout, give it a bit of a boost. Like, there we go, 60k an hour. And that's so enjoyable. But then because of how fun that is, it gives you this confidence, because you know that if you really want to have a proper punt, well, it's got the goods to do it. This will handle pretty much anything you have to throw at it in terms of performance. Guys, this whole narrative of like, WRXs suck, an Evo's heaps faster, or a Golf R is just better, it's complete bullshit. And if you feel like you need hundreds of horsepower to have fun, again, that's your ego talking. It's got nothing to do with the car. Instead, go and work on your skill set, because this thing, even used and even completely standard, is so much fun to drive. It's awesome. The problem is, but if you do enjoy flexing that right foot, it has a hell of an impact on fuel consumption, because some owners out there are reporting consumption figures of over 16 litres per 100 Ks. Okay, now welcome to the heartbreaking part of the video. What goes wrong with these? Let's start with the exterior, and first up, it's paint. See, Subaru paint has kind of developed a bit of a reputation for being on the soft side, and therefore it can chip and mark really easily. If you are in the market for one of these, try to find one that has like a ceramic coating or a protective film on it. If it hasn't and it's been resprayed, make sure that the respray job is being done properly, because bad ones can look shit. Now, there are a few reports that the switch that controls the rear brake lights, it can be faulty and can actually make the brake lights not work when you brake. It's not a common problem at all, and it's pretty easy to tell if the brake lights don't work, because you'll feel like a bit of a thud or a thump from behind, followed by some swearing. If that happens, yeah, you're probably going to need your rear tail lights replaced. Okay, this next one isn't exactly like the car's fault as such, but with these things being so popular amongst the tuning scene, be on the lookout for any dodgy body kits that have been fitted, like any drill holes that haven't been prepared properly. Because if someone's basically cutting corners with modifications, chances are they're going to be cutting corners elsewhere on the car, and that could be a disaster. Also, with these things being affordable performance cars and having this ability to make you feel like a driving god, many owners run out of talent quite quickly, and that results in accidents. So definitely be on the lookout for any accident damage or any dodgy repair work. Actually, you know what? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you need to be on the lookout for. Go and watch our Ultimate Used Car Buyer's Guide video. It covers everything and so much more. It could save you thousands. Now, inside, there are a few complaints from owners about some steering column issues, like the car kind of wants to pull itself to the right a little bit, which here in Australia means oncoming traffic. That's not ideal. And then plenty of owners have complained about the eyesight safety systems, like the beeps and bongs just become incessant. And also the calibration of some of the safety systems, in their opinion, can be just far too aggressive. Some owners have also complained that the side seat bolsters, they can kind of wear prematurely. However, in saying that, we do maybe question their technique on getting in and out, as well as their levels of athleticism. As I alluded to just before, some of the early infotainment systems can be just utter crap, total rubbish. Actually, I've dealt with one of the early systems in these, and it was shit. Actually, I read a report from one owner that found the screen to be so unresponsive. It wasn't really a touch screen, it was more of a punch screen. Now, there are some reports that WRXs left out in the sun for long periods of time. Some of the interior plastics can start to fade and become brittle and even crack, so if you do have one, keep it garaged. And finally, for interior problems, there are the odd sporadic reports about different electronic gremlins, certain buttons or functions not working. Not common at all, but if you're buying one, just push every button, make sure everything works. Now, before we get into mechanically what can go wrong with these, firstly, a massive thank you to Emma and Jordan for lending us their car. You guys are legends. Secondly, a massive thank you to everybody in the Subaru and WRX owners groups for helping us research this video. Guys, your knowledge and advice is incredible. Thank you so much. And finally, a massive thank you to you for supporting and watching ReDriven. Because of you, ReDriven has quickly become one of Australia's fastest growing automotive YouTube channels. We can't believe it. Thank you so much. And for those of you that haven't subscribed, we want to make you a deal. If you support us by hitting those all important buttons down there, we promise you supporting us means that we're going to make bigger and better and honestly the best car videos that we can for you. So yeah, thank you so much. Okay, now mechanically, what can go wrong with these? Well, I can't tell you because I'm not a qualified mechanic. But you know who is? It's Jim.
The FA20 turbo in these, yeah, look, they do get a bit of criticism for being unreliable. They do have their fair share of oil leaks from timing covers and cam carriers, but typically not as bad from the head gaskets like previous models. They use a multi-layer steel gasket, which are less prone to leaking oil, so they're a bit better there. Unlike previous generations, these things are direct injected, so eventually the inlet ports are going to clog up and you are going to need to do some sort of cleaning like walnut blasting or something like that. The traditional Subaru cylinder, upper cylinder cleaner is just not going to cut it here. After a while, they are going to clog up and you're going to need to clean it properly. Other than that, in standard form, they are actually pretty reliable. But the issue you might face, because these are cheaper than the STI, some people are modifying them on a budget. And some of those budget modifications don't work so well, and then they can cause issues. So what we're seeing now is the issue actually isn't so much with the engine or the car, it's the mods done to it. So if you're looking at one or getting one, just make sure those mods are done flawlessly, or better still, just buy one that's not modded at all. Now the transmissions, look, the manual in these is pretty good with no huge complications. Just make sure it's well serviced. As Adam mentioned, there are some complaints of shuddering. Look, quite often that is the clutch. We have seen cases where the clutches have worn out prematurely, but I suspect that's got more to do with the driver rather than the car. Now, the CVT. Look, everybody knows that Subaru CVTs have got a terrible, well-deserved reputation for very expensive, catastrophic failures. But the CVT in these is actually less likely to shit itself than previous generations. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to shit itself, and I'm not saying that if it does, it's not going to be hugely expensive to fix. But statistically, these are less likely to fail, but they still fail. So overall, look, if you're looking to get one with low mileage, if it hasn't been modified, you shouldn't really expect too many problems, especially if it's a manual. But if it's got high mileage and mods and a dodgy service history, you are definitely going to see more problems.
Okay, so after all of that, should you buy one? No, but yes. Okay, let me explain, and we're going to start with the CVT examples. Okay, look, for whatever reason, if you just must have a CVT WRX and you find one for, say, $25,000, in your head, just know it's actually $30,000. So if you budget for the car actually costing $30,000, that way the extra $5,000 that you're going to have to spend on fixing the CVT won't feel anywhere near as painful. Plus, if you get lucky and the CVT doesn't shit itself, well then you'll have a spare $5,000 left over in your pocket. But what about WRXs with a manual transmission? Then should you buy one? Yeah, you should, but guys, just don't buy the wrong one. Guys, I cannot say this strongly enough. It is imperative to make sure you have a pre-purchase inspection carried out before you hand over your hard-earned cash. Look, the WRX, it is an awesome car, but the problem is so many on the used market have been driven with a complete lack of mechanical sympathy, or they've been tuned to the point of like near destruction, or they were purchased on a lease arrangement by an owner that has had no intention of keeping the car for the long term and has treated it as such. Or it might be a combination of all of those factors, and if that's the case, an awesome car can quickly become a complete nightmare. Which then brings us to the obvious question, would you buy one of these? Or would you get like a Golf GTI or a Golf R or maybe a Renault Megane RS or something completely different? Let us know in the comments. We'll see you guys next time. Okay guys, now just in case you've suffered some kind of medical episode in this whole WRX thing, so you guys with Driver, they can customize a finance package. But what about WRXs with a manual transmission? Then you should do Plus, if you do all of that, shush dog. Plus, if you do, mate, come on. Now, if you go and search, oh my God, Sam, what is going on?